Everybody, absolutely fantastic to be joined today by Leslie Weatherhead. How are you, Leslie of Callwell?
I am very well, thank you, Simon. Nice to see you.
I don't get that said to me very often, so I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Very kind of you. Very kind. Leslie, really, really excited to hear about obviously what Callwell is up to at the moment. I think Callwell, we were talking about this kind of off camera, weren't we? So many people know the name, but maybe they don't actually get 100% what goes on. And we find that's a very real issue within the industry. You hear names bandied around so often, and you get almost a false perception of what those companies do. So we're really, really keen to drill into that today because you've got some of the very biggest and best agents using the Callwell product. I'm very keen to drill into that, but I think that'll be something interesting to get. Is that something you find?
Yeah, absolutely. I think because Cornwall's been around for a while, it's been around for some years now, albeit that we've evolved tremendously from our start point. And I think people have heard the name, but possibly think because it's Cornwell that we're some form of telephone answering service, which we're not. We're what I always like to say is the Rolls Royce of lead management system.
There you are. You've tagged it straight
Yeah.
away. So, could you just give us, yeah, for that? So, just give us the elevator pitch then. So, give us an overview again, just elaborating what you just said there about what Callwell delivers for the agents, and
Yeah.
then if we could go back in as a follow-on to that, kind of highlighting what the top three features of Callwell you believe are.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Simon. So, in a world where advertising is all online and agents are spending lots of money on their own websites and portals to build the hopper, if you will, in
Yeah,
terms of incoming inquiries, it's absolutely vital that that first interaction with an agent, that first impression is absolutely fantastic.
yeah,
And I know from my history, working with portals over the years, that an awful lot of inquiries don't go answered. And certainly, I'm sure you've had an experience, as have I, when we were moving a few years back, that you send in inquiries and never hear again, never hear a thing from an agent. So,
so common. Yeah, and
yeah,
even I think, Leslie, even the best agents accept it. You know, the
yeah,
best agents will say, "Look, we're not short on leads. We're really struggling with the ability to deal with them."
yeah, absolutely. But if you like, that's your shop window. That's your first interaction with that agent, and it's absolutely vital. And also for those high value leads, like a valuation lead that's coming into your branch, your office, it's absolutely vital that it's picked up, and it's picked up really, really quickly and handled well by what I believe is a person, not a bot. So we'll
Yeah.
come on and talk about that in a minute. And what Callwell does is take all of your inquiries from all of your different sources and puts them separate from your CRM into one very simple, very easy to use dashboard. And with our automatic call technology, what we can do is we can generate an automatic call into your branch for all or certain inquiry types. So in a real world, what that would look like, say I'm at home, decided actually, the time's right for me, I'm going to send a valuation in for my property, send
Yeah.
it in, go on one of the websites, send in my valuation request. As soon as it hits Callwell, which is within seconds of the lead being sent, we generate a phone call into your office. You pick up the phone, you hear an automated message telling you who the lead is from, really important, who the inquirer is, and to press 1 to be connected, which gives you plenty of time to go into Callwell, find out all about the lead. Gives you about 20 seconds after pressing 1, which then gets you through to the consumer. The important thing from the consumer's point of view is that the only telephone number that they see is the agent's telephone number. So
Yeah.
call was completely invisible in that scenario. But doing that, it happens within seconds. So you're through to the potential vendor, if you will, in less than a minute, which you're going to be
And
any point.
speed is just totally. I mean,
Absolutely.
every study, whether it's in this industry or it's outside of it, shows that speed of response. Is critical, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, in central London, I'm sure you'll endorse this, that agents will say it's less than half an hour. I mean, some will say it's less than 15 minutes, but actually it gives you that immediate opportunity to make that great first impression. Some of the agents that use it say, we always start with, I've just seen your address come through, had to get on the phone straight away. And certainly all you hear from the consumer's end is, wow, that was really quick. I've only just sent that inquiry. And of course, the chances of getting through to the person are really high because they've only just sent the inquiry. So that's the golden egg, if you like, in our arsenal of the things that we offer.
That's great. And give us just a bit of background, Leslie, as to Callwell, how it's developed over the years. Because of course, as you know, this is again one of these great products that hasn't been developed in an ivory tower, has it?
Yeah,
By
no,
people who don't understand it. It's
yeah,
really come from for people that live and breathe. The
yeah.
challenges and indeed the solutions to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So Callwell's founders are both agents, letting and sales. Bob Scarf, a lot of people will know the name, used to run Countrywide.
Sure.
Rob Wells said, very successful letting agent. So they're coming at it from real hands-on experience. So the evolution of Callwell, if you will, so the automatic call technology that I've just talked about has now been backed up with a whole suite of autoresponders, whole
Yeah.
load of, which means that you can send autoresponders 24 hours a day. So if you're in a letting space, if we keep thinking about lettings for just a minute, if you imagine a space, and I know many letting agents say to me that they get more inquiries than they know what to do with, and actually managing them is a real challenge. So this is a great way of firstly acknowledging the inquiry, thanking the person very much for that inquiry, which is really important, and asking for a little bit more information. Now, as soon as the would-be tenant fills in that information, it populates on the Callwell dashboard, so you can always see it.
Yeah.
We're always very careful that we don't bombard people by keep asking the same tenant to fill in yet another tenant qualification piece. So once that person has filled in that tenant qualification, if they're sending tenant qualifications in again through your company, you can always see their results. So that's really nice and clever. That populates through, so you can see at a glance the most qualified tenants for your property, but also safe in the knowledge that you've acknowledged all of the tenant inquiries. That's a really nice thing that we do. We do standard, straightforward autoresponders. So for out of hours, it might be really nice to say, thanks very much for your inquiry, because we know certainly often people get about 50% of their leads come through when the office is closed. So nice to have an autoresponder that's running. And these features are all standard within
Yeah.
Callwell, not charging extra
Nice.
fees. And you can either send them by email. If you do want to send them by SMS, there is a little bit of a extra charge for SMS, but email is absolutely standard. So if you imagine the out of hours scenario, you can send an autoresponder for out of hours saying one of my team will be in touch the next working day.
Yeah.
And then we come back onto the clever call technology, because what we can then do is start queuing those calls. So if you say, right, 9 o'clock in the morning is when we have our office meeting. So we want those automatic calls to start at 9:30 when the meeting finishes, and it will start automatically ringing your office with all of the leads that have come in the night before. Fantastic. We can also do alerts for you. So we can, as quickly as 15 minutes after an inquiry has come in, we
Yeah.
can ping you a reminder email. We also do alerts all through the day to match an agent's SLA. So if you're saying, I want all valuations picked up within half an hour, anything that falls outside of that, you'll get an alert, and that can go to
That's
branch
really cool.
managers or area managers or the business owner, whatever you prefer.
And
You,
Leslie, can I just ask on that? Is that
absolutely.
is that configurable? Is that customizable at all? So
Yeah,
for
totally. Yeah, thanks,
that's
Simon.
really good.
Totally. They're all branded. So whatever branding you want to put on them, you can have different things for different branches. You can do different things for your lettings branches. You can do different things per office. So completely configurable.
I mean,
Really,
that's really critical, isn't it? One of the biggest
yeah.
frustrations that agents get is that they have to bend to the way that a solution or supplier works, and it doesn't reinforce their way of doing business. So this already is market aside, isn't it? That dependent on how the organisation is set up, you will actually help support the culture of the business.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the fantastic things about Callwell. It's very, very flexible. It's being designed really well. And the reporting that goes alongside it is second to none. Just staying on the alerts. The other thing that there's a new feature we've just brought out actually is the end of day roundup. So any inquiries that haven't been actioned during that same working day would be alerted to. You get an alert saying if you missed any inquiries, which I think is really important, especially in that sales space, because it is all about making that great first impression.
And we keep talking about leads, and to most people that'll be really obvious, but I always want to just drill into the detail, which actually isn't normally. I'm not known as a detail person, to be perfectly honest, but I've learned to pick up on this stuff. Are we talking about leads from the calls from the portals and websites, agents' own websites as well here?
Yes, yes. So sticking to email for just 1 minute,
Yeah.
we would take email inquiries from anywhere that the agent advertises. So all the portals, Rightmove, Zoopla, on the market, any portal that's out there will take leads. We'll take leads from Get Agents, ValPal, agent's own website. If you're doing Google campaigns, as long as it comes through in a configurable format for Callwell, and we'll always help you with that, that can come in. The other really nifty thing that Callwell can do, just flipping it on its head, I'm going slightly off piece now, Simon, so it's apologies, is if you've got a sort of local solicitor that you work with, that you might want to send an inquiry into, or you've got a mortgage broker that's not based in your office and you actually want to send those on an inquiry, Callwell can help you with that as well by giving you a templated email in the system that you can fill in, or it will automatically fill it in, and you can just push that out to your own suppliers, so your own solicitors, your own mortgage providers. And that's one of the other things that Callwell does, because we know certainly with mortgage services, especially with first-time buyer leads coming in, you might want to take that lead and actually go, you know what, that needs to go to Jeff, for example, my mortgage broker. So the system will help you with all of that as well.
Excellent. That's really, really good. And obviously, one of the questions that come out, there's a lot of agents with a lot of different tech out there as well.
Yeah.
You know, so the two questions, parts to my question, I suppose, there is, first of all, do you integrate with others, the main CRMs out there, which obviously agents tend to use? And I think you were talking about to me about why there's an argument for actually the agent keeping the inquiries separate from the CRM. Do you just want to elaborate on that a little bit for us?
Yeah. So our belief is a passionate belief based on, real life evidence and, working with agents across these years. I think there's been a trend for everything to sit in an agent CRM. But the danger of that is that the care isn't given to the incoming leads that you've spent so much money for. So I totally agree that you want an easy mechanism to send it from your lead management system into your CRM once you've done that initial qualification check
without the need for rekeying, pretty
absolutely
much.
Absolutely. We've got an integration with Repeat, a CRM provider that you might be familiar with.
You know what I do, and I've heard good things about them.
You know what, yeah. So we've got an integration which is up and running with Repeat, and we're also working with Repeat with integrations with lots of other CRMs. But what we always say is, if the integration isn't done and you'd like it, and the CRM has got an open API, then normally we can do an integration within about 2 weeks. It's nice and straightforward. So our belief is that leads are best handled on their own in a lead management system, and you put everything in there. Your ongoing dialogue and interaction with your clients then sits in your CRM. So for as soon as they've moved into the transactional stage, they're viewing, they're having valuations, they're into a tenancy, absolutely the CRM is the place for that. But we believe, to do your leads justice, and the leads that you're often spending thousands of pounds a month to generate, have them in a specialist system.
Do you know what I love about it, Leslie? Is it's the equivalent of a digital hotbox, isn't it? And probably one of the most overused statements or comments I get back from agencies, and you'll see it on any webinar or Facebook group, is how much people genuinely miss that traditional hotbox. And it's because there was definitive action about, you can touch and feel those, those buyers there. You know exactly who the important people are to liaise with. And I think having that kind of, as you've put, that focus on what, let's be honest, is the lifeblood of the business, is obviously these leads, isn't it? It's quite a nice deliberate kind of action.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's color coded, be like a bit of color. So red, amber, green. Red, not been actioned, nobody's done anything with it. Green's done, good to go. And you can configure all of that on Callwell. So you can have the outcome buttons, book valuation, book viewings to suit you. And then with the press of the button, if we've got that integration done for you, it'll move it across to your CRM.
Magnificent. Leslie, one of the things that, again, frustrates agents is that they hear the pitch. I mean, we're talking about it here, and I'm saying this is everything there. But sometimes they do get a little bit frustrated, because it can feel like, getting it working in the right way takes so long to bed down and everything else. So that, there's very few things in life, that work just out of the box, but, it took me took me days to figure out how to use my phone when I first got it for the first time. How difficult is it, being really honest, to get on board with Callwell, to get set up and I suppose hit the floor running?
Yeah, and I would say this, it's really easy. Of course I would. What makes it really easy is for people to tell us what you want. I'm very good, as you can probably tell, for telling people what I want. But if agents do the same with us, we're really good understanding what agents want in terms of, I want an autoresponder when my office closes at 6 o'clock. I want it coming on the next morning at 8 o'clock because I tend to get in at 8. Tell us how you work, and we can figure that all for you. We've got a fantastic support team. In terms of setup, all the portals are really well versed in sending us all of the leads straight away. So that's as simple as an email. Sometimes agents' own websites are a little more of a challenge. It really depends on how good your website support is in terms of being able to have that support of getting your website leads to come into Callwell. Interestingly on that, I've had a couple of agents say to me, we find it very difficult to get the inquiries out of our website. So the great thing with Callwell is you can't delete leads. They're all there. So after about 12 months, they get archived. That's our standard, one of our data protection. And we're also an ISO standard business. That's important.
Wow. That means you've gone well above the call of duty for it, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. So just in terms of data, nothing can be deleted. And actually what the Callwell system will allow you to do is to do some great pieces of ROI in terms of where are my leads coming from, who's providing the greatest source of leads of a particular type, and then very easy to reverse engineer it. Perhaps you want to look at and see who's provided the greatest amount of tenants over the last 12 months, or the greatest sources of valuations that actually then went on to instruct. Callwell can do all of that for you. Either our support team will do it for you, or you can self-serve and do it via the system yourself. And because of the ISO standard, your data is really safe and secure.
Absolutely fantastic. That's really, really good. Sounds the business there. Just give me your view as well. I think we were chatting about this. What's your view on kind of the new area of bots and things like that, bot technology and everything else? Is that something you think is a goer? Is it not quite right yet? What's your view on bot technology?
So funnily enough, we're just about to, we're in the sort of final phase, if you like, of doing a piece of thought leadership on the AI and bot technology, which we'll share with you, Simon, so you can
That'd be great,
to your members. So with the AI, it's exciting, isn't it? It's brilliant. And we all like using a bit of the AI technology to write our emails. But I think when you come into the core transcribing space, and essentially this is what we're looking at, in agency land, you've got to be really, really careful, because equivalently, as soon as you start doing that, as soon as you start transcribing a call, it means that the call has to be recorded. And if you're working with a big system, maybe like ChatGPT or some of the bigger organizations that are already there, you're feeding into big data. And for me, that's scary. So think about it. You're innocently, if you will, providing big data with the ability to do a fantastic prediction tool. But do you want that? Do you want all your phone calls that you've ever made about a car or a house or anything else actually feeding into this giant brain, if you will? So I think you've got to be careful what you wish for with that. And also, I think...
Sorry, Leslie, is that because as well, I'm guessing where we're going with that is ultimately, if that's readily accessible, your competitors will have free access. Essentially, they're able to leverage what you've done previously, haven't they, as well?
I think it's a minefield. It certainly is a legal minefield, and one that we're very, very cautious with. I think with it, it's got useful applications, but again, you've got to think, is it going to be useful for my business, or actually is it just a flash in the pan? And actually, AI is this word that we all want to jump on the bandwagon. What actually is it going to do for my branch? What's actually going to help me in my day-to-day job as an estate agent or letting agents or new homes? We also work with auto as well, so we work for motor businesses as well. So they're all interested in that same space. So coming soon is our sort of thoughts on that, because we're looking at it very, very carefully at Callwell, especially the legality of it. So if with phone recording, you need to tell people that you're recording the phone calls. It's absolutely the same rules will apply with transcription. How are you going to do that? How long are you going to keep that data? There's a whole minefield there. With bots, I'm old-fashioned. I like to speak to a person. So I've got this saying, if it's a house or health, I want a person. I don't want to speak to a bot about, the biggest transaction, or my money that's tied up in property or anything to do with my health. And I absolutely passionately believe that that's where an agent comes in. That's, you want an agent's expertise and fantastic local knowledge, and you want to have that interaction about how a person makes you feel. I don't care what you say, I don't think a piece of technology can do that. So that's our views with the bots. I get it. And I think you've also got to be really careful with the Ofcom rules, because I know Ofcom is an absolute no-go zone for a bot to make an outgoing telephone call, to use a bot to start calling out outgoing. So I think people
it's strange, isn't it? That again, the legality hasn't kept up with
it
the
hasn't.
technology and everything else, and so it's going to be fascinating. And of course, it is really difficult. As I said, I think we're looking at a project on that front at the moment and trying to get to the bottom of this. You can well imagine that technology, like so many useful technologies, will be abused and everything else there. And then, of course, telling preference service, frankly, won't even cut it close, will it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not there yet, and I think it's leaving people a little bit in the dark. And I suppose depending on the size of your business, if you're a small agency, it's your own business, and a small team, you might want to run the gauntlet with it. But I think any of the larger organisations would be very, very cautious. Certainly until
they're always going to get hit, aren't they? As well,
they are.
Look at them and look at making an example. So it's always they're almost held to a false standard, aren't they? Which again is.
I can see why it's certainly created a bit of a buzz, and I know people are talking about it a lot. And I think people are seeing it as maybe a way to cut costs, cut staffing costs, in sometimes difficult times, if you can get a bit of technology to do it. But I still believe that people are the best people. Use clever things like the qualifiers, the autoresponders to filter down that way. And then when you're actually interaction, especially with those high value leads, make that great first impression, have a person do it.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to jump into the personal side of things now, because, as I said, it's great whenever I talk to suppliers, and I always get massively impressed. But sometimes there's a bit of a disconnect between actually how good the product looks and then actually, if you can get their clients saying nice things about them, sometimes is a challenge. That's absolutely not the case for you. And as ever, I always encourage people to, go have a look on Google for the reviews, have a look on Kerfuffle as the biggest B2B site there. And there's a man that I know particularly well, and I think it was actually one of the first reviews actually we had on our website, Paul Morgan. And he's talking about the Callwell services as a review. Fantastic for agents who care about customer service. Callwell leaves our customers with a positive impression because each inquiry is promptly replied to with a phone call. Gives the management confidence that the sales teams are responding to email inquiries promptly because of the way Callwell works. And the follow-up conversation rating process is excellent as well. So I thought that was really, really, really interesting to read. And then, although it is an overused phrase in the tech world, this one's fantastic. Callwell, a game changer for our business with seamless lead tracking and exceptional support by Daniel Bourne of Franklin James. This was just a few days ago, actually. Callwell has been great for our business. It allows us to keep track and monitor every lead. Even more importantly, our negs love it, as it allows them to jump on leads the moment they come in. The staff at Callwell are equally fantastic. They make setting everything up quick and easy and went above and beyond to ensure we're taking full advantage of the platform. You see, that one's a big standout for me. It's also validating everything you were saying about how good it was to get up. But I think also critically, there are lots of suppliers we see, and especially tech ones, that are dumped on the staff members because it's seen by as a good idea as the owners and the management, and actually the staff don't like it. And of course, if they don't like it, it's not going to be used as much. So getting buy-in from the teams there is absolutely crucial, isn't it?
Yeah, it totally is. It totally is. And one of the things that you said earlier about is Callwell configurable. Yeah, absolutely is. And things like the automatic call, you can turn that on or off by branch or by department. We also do Callwell scoring, so it's great if you want to get a bit of competition going between your staff in the branch. We can report.
Yeah.
Again, it's configurable. It's not a mandatory element. You can turn it off, and that's why I say, if we really the closer we can work with a customer to really understand what you're looking to achieve, what your team really want to achieve, we can configure Callwell. It works that well.
Fabulous. And look, it wouldn't be a kerfuffle, obviously, webinar if we hadn't managed to talk to our fantastic partners like yourselves and managed to get a bit of a fantastic deal. And you certainly have delivered on that fantastic deal as well. So, as ever, I always give the caveat: if I've got this wrong, do jump in and let me know.
Yes.
But
Yes.
there's an exclusive deal here for Kerfuffle members and indeed RAN members there. New customers who sign up to Callwell before the 1st of June, my birthday. So again, I don't know if we did that on purpose, but anyway, that's there. Can benefit from Callwell Pro at £55 plus VAT per channel per month. Including as well a month's free trial, so that you can obviously kick the tires of a service, which is fantastic, putting your money where your mouth in. And the great news of that is that's a discount of almost well, it's 45%, isn't it? So you're getting it almost half price over your standard £100 rate, isn't it? So
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely brilliant. And I think taking that seems like a no-brainer for somebody, and ask yourself honestly, if you're watching this, how well do you score the way you are dealing with lead management? And frankly, if it isn't a 9 or 10, you've got to reach out to Leslie and the team here and obviously start, talking about, okay, is this a solution that can improve that process? Because otherwise you'd be mad not to, wouldn't you? What's the point of paying the portals and indeed your website and all these other lead gen things to generate you all these leads if the leaky bucket is dropping it all out the other end? It's ludicrous, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the reason we've got a month's free trial as standard is that we want people to test us out. We're very confident in what we do. That's why we offer a month's free trial. And generally, people, once they've got it, they're happy with it, and they can see the functionality that it can do. And I haven't really said anything about reporting, but the reporting at Callwell is second to none. Every bit of data that we can get in, we can report on it. You can slice and dice it whichever way you want to. You can take a download if you want to, with certain permissions. We're very, very careful on permissions and data security, hence the ISO standard. But great visibility in terms of how many leads have I had today, how many have been actioned, how have they been actioned, who's actioned them. Break it down for me over the month. I've spent, X amount of money on a Google campaign. Has it delivered anything for me? If you want that sort of visibility at the touch of a button, you view it on your mobile, view it on whatever device you want to, Callwell's the system.
Fabulous. Well, unusual. I'm out of breath. That doesn't happen there. So that's absolutely spectacular. Leslie, great. We're going to catch up. Obviously, fantastic to be working with you guys ever more closely. I think we've got some really exciting webinars coming up in terms of a product overview and everything else. Looking forward to that thought leadership piece as well. So do let us know on that. But for today, thank you so much for joining me and educating me in all this.
Simon, thank you very much. Great to see you. Take care.
Cheers. Thank you, Leslie. Bye-bye.
Bye.